We have some major breaking news that has announced that Safety Culture will sponsor Shane Van Gisbergen for 7 races in the Cup Series in 2025. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news this afternoon, as it has been announced that Safety Culture will sponsor Shane Van Gisbergen once again in the 2025 season. Here's the announcement from Trackhouse Racing. News: expanding our partnership with Safety Culture. The global technology company will serve as primary sponsor for 8 races with Shane Van Gisbergen and Ross Chastain. The schedule for Shane Van Gisbergen with Safety Culture: the first race is going to be in a couple weekends from now at Bristol Motor Speedway on April 13th. Then his next race will be 2 weeks after that at Talladega Super Speedway on April 27th. After that, the next race at Texas Motor Speedway on May 4th. Then his next race at Kansas Speedway on May the 11th. So if I go out to that race, I might see that car. Then the next race will be on June 8th at Michigan Speedway. Then when we go to Mexico City for the first Cup race at Mexico City at the Autodrome Hernando Rodriguez track, we will see that car out there on June 15th. And then the final race for Shane Van Gisbergen, we're going to see that car, will be at Pocono on June 22nd. For Ross Chastain, there will only be one race he'll have with that sponsorship in 2025, as they'll sponsor him at Daytona during the summer race on August 23rd, which will be the cutoff race to decide who will make the playoffs. Safety Culture did sponsor Shane Van Gisbergen in 2024 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I believe they were on his car when he did win his first ever Xfinity Series race last year at Portland. And I believe they've been on that car quite a bit in the NASCAR Xfinity Series last year. I think they were on the car at a couple of their big races in 2024 as well. But we've also known that SVG's had a couple other sponsors that have been very closely aligned with them throughout 2025. One of them, of course, being WeatherTech. WeatherTech has sponsored majority of races so far in 2025. They, of course, sponsor at the Daytona 500. And then we've also seen, of course, Red Bull sponsor him for a couple races this year. They're going to be sponsoring him at the Summer Daytona race. I don't think they're going to be sponsoring him at the Chicago Street Course. I think they're sponsoring maybe Connersville there, I'm pretty sure. But they're going to probably sponsor some other races for SVG down the road. But he's had 3 big sponsors for the year. Now, we also know that Kubota is going to sponsor Shane Van Gisbergen in the Xfinity Series race at Watkins Glen. And we're still waiting on what the other sponsorship is going to be for the Xfinity Series as well. I'd have to think maybe Safety Culture will be on one of his Xfinity Series rides when he does get out there, because his first scheduled Xfinity start is going to be, I believe, at Mexico City in June. And then, of course, he has Sonoma and another race at Chicago as well. When you think about SVG so far in 2025, it's been a little bit of an up and down season for him. He's been able to pick up some pretty massive sponsorships with Red Bull coming back into play and Safety Culture coming back into play, but it's been a very much up and down season for SVG. Think about the Daytona 500. He was running inside the top 20 in the event, got caught up in a crash and incident with the WeatherTech sponsorship. Then Atlanta actually led a couple laps in the event and had a pretty solid car, but got caught up on the last lap crash. Then he ran really well at Circuit Americas and probably had the best car on the long run in the race, but unfortunately for Shane Van Gisbergen, he just didn't have the restarts, and because of that, he lost so many positions on the restarts and fell out of contention for the win, though he still finished inside the top 10. But since then, it's been a little bit of an up and down performance for Shane. At Phoenix, of course, he didn't run very well. Well, he was getting up to the front with the option tires, but got caught up in the big incident crash that was caused by drivers going up like Chase Briscoe and Justin Haley, and Shane had nowhere to go with that. And then the next week in Las Vegas was starting to make a little bit of progress to the field in the early portion of the race, but there were a lot of tire issues, and for Shane, he had 3 flat tires and ended up taking the car to the garage. He probably could have gotten a decent finish. How many cars fell out of the race at the end of the day, but he unfortunately didn't get the best finish that he could have gotten. And then Homestead was just a struggle for Trackhouse Racing. Daniel Suarez was the best finisher from Trackhouse, and he finished 22nd, and was really the only Trackhouse car that was fast. Ross Chastain had a disastrous performance where he finished in 31st position, and Shane finished in 32nd. There's been a lot of talk about SVG's season so far this year, and we all know that SVG's had an up and down season, but I think we all knew coming into this year that because he doesn't have as much experience on the ovals, on the Cup side, and with the car being so much different than the Xfinity Series car, it was going to be a little bit of struggle for Shane to transition. Now, luckily for Shane, coming up in the next couple of weeks, he's got some good races coming up. We're going to Martinsville. Remember, Martinsville is very similar to Bowman Gray with the tight corners. He ran very well in the fall race last year, where he finished in 12th position in that race. And then, of course, at Bowman Gray, he finished inside the top 10. So I think if there's a track that really could turn Shane's season around quite a bit, it definitely is a track like Martinsville. I think he could have a top 15 car. And I think the Trackhouse cars, well, yes, they did run really bad at Homestead. They were really fast at some of the shorter ovals this year. And I think that could give some confidence for Shane going through the rest of the year. I want to see him definitely improve on the oval tracks as the year progresses and goes on, because that's what the goal should be for Shane, is to get better on the ovals. Instead of running back in like 25th and 30th, I want to see him kind of in that 15th to 20th range by the end of the year. But if I think there's any driver who could really get better, I think it definitely is Shane Van Gisbergen. In the meantime, we're talking about the big sponsor. And Shane Van Gisbergen getting another sponsor is a really big deal for him, because we don't know how long his contract is with Trackhouse Racing. I think it is a multi-year deal with Trackhouse. And we know that he's not going to be going anywhere for the foreseeable future, because he brings a Red Bull sponsorship and other sponsors to the table as well. But when you have that sponsorship, it only can keep you in for so long. I think for Shane, though, the goal still is to win a race this year. I think we all know that he needs to go out there and try to win races. So far, there's only been 4 drivers who have gone to victory lane: William Byron, Christopher Bell, Josh Berry, and Kyle Larson. 4 of the best drivers in the Cup Series right now, and there's still a lot of really good competition. But he's still very low in the standings. The goal by the end of this year I want to see for Shane is, can he transition up to that next big level? That is going to be the big question mark, because if he can go to that next big level, I could see Shane having a very strong and good second half of the year. We're going to go to Darlington, too, in a couple weeks, and he ran really well in the Xfinity Series there. And I think he finished in the top 25 or 26 with Colleague Racing in the Cup Series, so he has some good tracks, because those are going to be driver-style tracks, and we know he's a really good driver. So I think he's going to get it figured out as season progresses and goes on. But in all honesty, it's a really big deal that safety culture is stepping up to the plate and sponsoring for 7 races this year. And I think it's great that Shane will have a sponsor for a few races in 2025. It's a big deal for him when you have sponsorship funding coming into play and you can get more sponsors. That is a big deal. He's going to have Ross as a teammate again next year probably. Same with Connor Zilisch more than likely. But I think at the end of the day, it's great for Shane that he will have the safety culture as a sponsor for 7 races in 2025. Glad to see him have a sponsor for the year. We've seen some other sponsors come in recent years. Amazon's jump up, sponsor Chase Elliott for a few races. We've seen Progressive come into play. The rumors M&M'S coming in. That, of course, is not happening at the moment. We've seen Aaron's return. We, of course, seen Rebel make a comeback and return. And we've seen other big companies like Monster and their other brands, like other companies like Love's, step up to the plate. And we know that Dr. Pepper, they're out at the moment, but it's a big deal nonetheless to see that we're going to see Safety Culture sponsor Shane for 7 races this year. So, that is going to be today's special breaking news report on Shane Van Gisbergen. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go jump over that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. How do you think he's going to do in this car in the 7 race that he's going to run with the scheme? Let me your thoughts in the comments below. And how excited are you to see the safety culture stepping up to the plate and sponsoring? Let me your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have race picks for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Martinsville Speedway. We are also going to have the paint scheme video dropping as well. Then on Friday, we'll have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. And then, of course, we'll have the Truck Series race review dropping as well. We'll talk more about the SVG news. We'll talk about people like Haley Dean, Carlos, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Connor Zilisch, Junior Motorsports, Matt DiBenedetto, Eric Almirola, Chandler Smith, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer. Again, Eric Almirola, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Bubba Walsh. There's been some updates with the lawsuit between 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports that's come out very recently, but it's still a big deal. The safety culture is coming in. We've got races coming up this weekend. Looking forward to those happening. We got a lot of throwback paint schemes to take a look at as well this week. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.